According to the records for the St. Paul Baptist Church, it was established in 1893. St. Paul began as a small family church, but then it grew, and it became known in the city, in the state, in the parish, and now it's global. Look at God. It was always known for its spirituality, not just its spirituality, for the preaching and the choirs. The most significant thing that I can remember is the choir was invited to sing at the 1984 World's Fair in New Orleans, Louisiana. We had a wonderful time. I can remember we always had a piano, but then we moved up and we got a Hammond B3 organ. We were so excited. As long as I can remember, and as long as I've known me, I've known the St. Paul Baptist Church. I was baptized the second Sunday in September in 1959. At that time, the church baptisms would be held in Geismar, Louisiana, in the Mississippi River behind the levee. Baptisms were done there until about 20 years later, when the chemical plants began to spring up in the Geismar area, and we had to move the baptisms to the Goudin Bayou, which is located on Main Street in Gonzales. Following that, the church just continued to grow. But I remember that I visited St. Paul as a little girl because my maternal grandmother belonged to the Little Zion Missionary Baptist Church on Oris. So I would visit Little Zion also. But there was always something about St. Paul.
My mother and father connected our family with the old St. Paul Church in the early 70s, basically about 1974. And at that time, the pastor was Pastor Ulysses Stevens. Moving forward a few years, Pastor Samuel Singleton would take over the leadership of the St. Paul Church. I can remember the services were always exciting and spirit-filled. I can still see my mother and my father and all the old patriots and pioneers praising God and lifting holy hands up in the sanctuary.
We lived about a half mile down the street what is called now Worthy Road. And our home was so close to the church until every time service began, whether it was Sunday school or choir rehearsal or baptisms or whatever revival, you could hear those saints. You could hear the foot stamping, the hand clapping, the thank you Jesuses and hallelujahs all the way down the street in that little white wood frame church. It was something to behold. And I always remembered that. And every time, even as a child, I would hear this singing and this clapping. The Spirit just began to whirl and swirl around within my body. The Spirit just was drawing me there, and I wasn't even baptized yet. But then, when I got baptized and I became a member, I realized that I was always drawn by the Spirit to the St. Paul Baptist Church.
We used to be in a little white building around the corner on St. Paul Road. That's where it all started for me. And we had some great times in that building. We had good preaching, teaching. At that time, we was under the leadership of Reverend Samuel Singleton, Jr. Like I said, good teaching, preaching, and we had some good singing back then. We had St. Paul Mass Choir, and later on it was Gospel Chorale. But that was some good times in that building. I mean, like foot stomping. I mean, just it was just awesome.
One of the most exciting times for me was when I was singing in a young adult group called the St. Paul Gospel Chorales. At the time, it was under the leadership of a very young minister, Jose Reddick.
I had no idea that God would allow me to be here for 64 years. The congregation grew as the years passed, and Reverend Morris Stevens and the deacons came to the membership and discussed about building another edifice. From that conversation, the white block building was built on what is now called St. Paul Road in August 1962, which was 69 years from the establishment of the St. Paul Baptist Church. I can remember the day that we marched into that church. I believe I was 14 years old. We marched from Worthy Road to the church building. And I can remember the saints were waving the Christian flag, and they were singing the hymn, "We will anchor, we will anchor, we will anchor by and by." That was a time that reminds me of the time that we are going to celebrate when all of God's children get together. It was a great time to be in the midst of the saints. Then as the years went on and Reverend Morris Stevens passed, his son, Reverend Eulis Stevens, became our pastor, and we finally got a baptismal pool. And we also got a kitchen built behind the church, the pool and the kitchen. And at the end of Reverend Eulis's tenure, Reverend Samuel Singleton Jr. became our pastor. And that was in 1983. And at that time, the church's congregation and the traveling ministry grew exponentially. It grew so much until there was a need for another building.
This land was purchased here on Boudreaux Road, and after that was purchased, then became the beginning of starting the building of our current sanctuary. As a little boy, I was able to watch this church being built. Shout out to Deacon Clarence Hall, because he and his team worked tirelessly in preparing this property for the building of this church, laying the foundation, making sure it was level, bringing in loads of dirt, doing whatever you had to do, had his little laser, just make sure everything was perfect. And next thing you know, the framing, forming of the foundation was done, cement poured. Next thing you know, we got a frame in there, and this was the building of St. Paul Baptist Church. So we transitioned from around the corner here on Boudreaux Road into this building. And that was a hallelujah time, because we did a dedication service, and we had a wonderful time that week to dedicate this building as being our new sanctuary. And I'm gonna go back a little bit. I want to mention about Sister Clara Riley. She was a saint that loved the Lord, and I remember back when we used to do testimonial Sundays. And one of her things she used to always tell Reverend Saints, and she used to tell him that this building gonna be bulging at the seams. All the seats will be filled. Chairs gonna be put down an aisle. So we looking, but the Lord, she would let them look. The Lord had showed me. She would say, you may not be here, I may not be here, but it's coming. And man, I'm looking now. We know the Lord was really talking to her and letting her know, because we're there where we for.
Following the death of Reverend Samuel Singleton, Reverend Roosevelt McMillan became our pastor. And under his leadership, the church's mortgage was paid off, and the multi-purpose building was built. Unfortunately, the church then began to experience some tribulations, some trials, and some pains. But God never left us alone. God was always in the saints that filled this building.
And like Sister Bailey said, it was some exciting times up in there, because it was old church, foot stomping, packed house, and then like she said, there was some ups and some downs. I don't care what type of organization it is, it will experience some downtime. But that down is not the problem. It's the coming back. If you can bounce back and God can allow you to bounce back, then you can be successful. And He has done that for this ministry. He has caused this ministry to go through many ups and downs, but look at us today. We're strong, we're prosperous, we have good young leaders, a good young pastor, and I think we are moving in a great direction.
Over the past decade, I have experienced a lot of personal growth while being here at St. Paul Baptist Church. Everything that has happened here has been impactful personally to my life. I am glad to be a part of a ministry that focuses on outreach, and we have a lot of things here in the house that will draw the community far and near. We have made glorious strides as a ministry. We launched the Partner in Prayer ministry in 2013. Also in that year, the membership grew from 82 members to 500 members. We are excited to see the growth that St. Paul experiences every single day. In 2014, the new church sign was purchased. We were also able to expand our outreach ministry. We thank God for being able to be a vessel for the community and help everyone in the surrounding areas. In 2015, the media ministry was created. We are so thankful to be able to reach people virtually, and they can watch from anywhere in the world. That is a blessing to be able to tune in and tap in on Facebook, on YouTube. We have Instagram to be utilized to worship.
We have a lot of great things go on here at St. Paul under Pastor Delaney. We have a food pantry that we have that's been added here, and that's been a tremendous thing for us because we're not only able to help whatever members we have, we've been able to help our community, and that's what it's all about, and that's one of his big pushes, to be able to go out these walls and be able to help other people. Even with that, we've been able to have to add more parking. We were able to do that here. Sound system, we was able to update our seating, going from pews to chairs. And I think it's an awesome nugget to plug. We've been able to start purchasing property around the church to do some great extending of what we have here.
In 2016, the Great Flood took place in Gonzales. We were able to partner with various churches in the surrounding area to provide relief for those who were affected in the flood. In 2017, we were able to purchase the T buildings, which are dedicated to members of the deacon ministry. The T buildings are now home to our wonderful youth ministry. We are so excited about the growth that we've seen within the past 2 years, specifically in our kids. I personally can see the growth in each and every one of them, from the way they talk, the way they're engaging in ministry, and we thank God for being able to provide a space for our kids to worship and feel comfortable. It's super important to have a church ministry that is catered to the kids. Within the past year, we were able to launch our young adult ministry. This ministry is from ages 18 to about 32 years old. We're able to talk to each other and actually relate about what is going on within our Christian walk while being young adults. We do know that it is difficult to walk both, but we are grateful to have a church, to have a safe space that we can come and connect and also have fun and, of course, learn about God.
Transition into the new just has been great. And one of my things is I always say, just keep tightening my belt because like this plane is just steady going up. We taxied on the runway for quite a little while, but now, we're airborne. We're up there. And every time I look around, it's like we're ascending a little bit higher, a little bit higher. And, and then he has a great team of people here. We have deacons that's here to help make sure things is going well here. We have some great deacons that are here that help to push the things that are going on. We got other ministries, between the ushers. We have medical ministry. We just have media team, and they have been very tremendous for us in this transition or in this new setting. Because even when the COVID hit, that was something that could have been a setback, but it really wasn't, because we had a media team that was here, and Red was started coming, but they was able to broadcast that word and get it out to those of us during that time when a lot of things were shut down. But St. Paul kept moving, and we had things in place to keep that going. It wasn't like when it hit, we was like, okay, what we going to do? A lot of those little nuggets was already in place prior to, but when COVID hit, we was able to just transition and move smoothly without any hiccups or any headaches.
2020 came and the COVID era hit. What were we going to do? At that moment in time, our pastor got together with a team. He made sure that we were being spiritually fed at all times. Being here, not knowing that he could get sick, the media team could get sick, anything could have happened. By having that media ministry, it caused a lot of us to understand the word and put faith towards it. Gaining that's a tremendous, tremendous, tremendous opportunity that made our church really grow and made it what it is today. Adjusting to the COVID era was difficult, but under the leadership of our pastor, the transition was smooth. I, myself, had a rough COVID era, but he prayed for us. He made sure that my family was okay, even when I couldn't pray for myself. His dedication when that time was going on caused our church family to feel safe with understanding what was going on, to feel okay when nobody knew what was going on. At that moment, what could we do? Our pastor, Reverend LaThought Delaney Jr., never wavered.
God has blessed the St. Paul Church to stand for 130 years. And that's a testament to all of the great pastors, leaders, members, and patrons who God has used over the years to help this great church to move forward. I'm excited to be a part of the new St. Paul right now. I feel God has placed this church in great hands, and I'm excited about where God is going to take this church. I feel like the future is bright, and there are no limits on where God is going to move this place. And now we're going to reach all over the nation and globally, all over the world.
It has been great. And like Reb, I'm just waiting for the next chapter to see what's the next great thing that's going to be the draft here. Because like I say, we have so much that go on. There's so many things that are being done, so many improvements on even on our campus. A lot of great improvements that we have going here. And what I like about it, here, you see what is being done. You don't have to guess. You don't have to wonder what is going on. You're able to see what's going on here. And that's one of the things that I really like. And another thing too, vision. We have a pastor with a great vision to see things, because a lot of times you don't have a vision, things could be lost, or you just wandering out there. But we have a pastor with a great vision to keep us moving and keep us being focused and looking down the road.
Now St. Paul, 130 years old, still growing, still thriving, still praying and praising and worshiping God through our current leadership, the Reverend LaThought Delaney Jr.